In 2016, the Carolina Panthers had the number one offense in the NFL. They finished the season 15-1, and their quarterback, Cam Newton, was voted the most valuable player in the regular season. They destroyed their opponents in the playoffs, winning the NFC Championship game 49-15, and were heavy favorites heading into Super Bowl 50. Their opponent in Super Bowl 50, however, was the Denver Broncos. Their defense, led by star linebacker Von Miller, was nicknamed the no-fly zone. History will show that the no-fly zone was one of the best defenses to ever step on the field. And in Super Bowl 50, they forced 4 turnovers, sacking Cam Newton 7 times. On 2 of those sacks, he fumbled. One of those fumbles was recovered in the end zone for a touchdown. The Denver Broncos won Super Bowl 50 by a score of 24-10, and Von Miller was named the most valuable player. This proves the old sports adage that defense wins championships. That's how important defense is. So welcome everyone. This is the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition Power Gamers Tactics Room. I'm your host, Bill Braun Bafflestone, and this is the final installment of my 7-part series on what I call the 7 tactical aspects of combat, which, to remind you, are 1, terms of engagement, 2, maneuverability, 3, environment, 4, resource management, 5, efficiency, 6, offense, and 7, defense. And today, I wanted to talk about defense. Now, I'm very excited for this. They say to save the best for last, and in my mind, that's exactly what I did. Because in my experience, people are just naturally either offensive-minded or defensive-minded. We just have a preference for it. And I personally, in both athletics and in games, have always been a defensive-oriented player. Now, of course, I'm a power gamer, so I have elite abilities in the terms of engagement and in maneuverability and in efficiency and resource management and offense. But what I really love is to put together an absolutely invulnerable defense. My philosophy has always been, if they can't hurt me, I am going to win. So very excited, and let's talk about some defense. So in terms of Dungeons & Dragons, I divide defense down into 4 different categories. We have basic defense, ultimate defense, general defense, and specific defenses. So your basic defenses are the big 3: armor class, saving throws, and hit points. These aren't rocket science. We want to get these as high as humanly possible. Your armor class is your basic defense against attack rolls, and you are going to be subjected to a bajillion attack rolls in Dungeons & Dragons, so you want to get it as high as possible. Ideally, you are also going to arrange to be attacked at disadvantage, because the combination of both is really fantastic. As we see by the chart, the average attack roll of most monsters is not particularly impressive. So if you are able to achieve that high armor class and be attacked at disadvantage, you are largely going to be invulnerable to attack rolls. Similarly for saving throws, this is a little harder. We see also by the chart that the save DCs for monsters is pretty significant, and it's much harder to build up your saving throws and get advantage on your saving throws as opposed to attack rolls. But as power gamers, we should absolutely try to do that. Try to pick a race that offers you advantage in that regard. I love the Deep Gnome that has advantage against intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws against magic. That was one of the reasons that really sold me on that particular race. But you can get advantage on that through items and such. You can get bonuses in various ways. Standing next to a paladin is always good. But of course, you're going to want to get your saving throws as high as possible. And then hit points. You do want to get them as high as possible. One thing I like to emphasize is that they are a short-term renewable resource. You don't gain any style points for never taking damage, and you win battles by having at least 1 hit point remaining while your enemies have 0. So really, any hit points above 1 are a type of defense. You shouldn't hesitate to use them. I personally am never afraid to take damage. If, for example, someone chooses to target me with a scorching ray, and despite my high armor class and being attacked at disadvantage, by some miracle, all 3 hit for an average of 21 damage. Now, I could use an absorb elements to reduce that to 10, but why? I have plenty of hit points, and of those 21, I'm going to get 16 back the next round when I have my familiar and my tiny servant use their summon action to apply 8-point good berries. So use your hit points. They are there to protect you, and you shouldn't worry too much unless you get really close to 1. Then we have ultimate defenses. There are 3 ultimate defenses in Dungeons & Dragons: out of range, total cover, and hidden. So if you are out of range, they simply can't hit you. This could be as simple as having flight against a monster that doesn't have ranged attacks, or you could just be like super fast and always sitting like 300 feet away from the battle and just kind of zipping in and out to do your thing, and then they're never really able to target you just because you're so far away. Similarly, if you have total cover, you are largely immune to attack. They can't target you with attacks or spells. There's some leakage if they hit you with an area of effect spell, but largely totally immune to attack. And you can get total cover through obstacles on the field. You can use, your superior movement to take advantage of the open space behind you to find cover, or you can create cover with things like rope trick or mold earth or stone shape or wall spells. Regardless, it is a fantastic defense. That's why it's in the ultimate category. And then finally, the hidden condition. If they can't target you or find you, you are not going to take any damage. So those are the 3 ultimate defenses in this game that I personally try to leverage very heavily. I like being totally invulnerable to attack. But of course, some of this depends on your playstyle. Not every character is going to be able to take advantage of ultimate cover or ultimate defense. Then we have general defenses. So there are 5 general defenses in the game: healing, defensive spells, movement, reactions, and obscurement. So healing kind of plays into the idea that hit points are a resource that you can use for your defense. You can burnish them through healing. There are going to be healing specialists in the party, and there are things that you can do. For example, the familiar and tiny servant applying a good berry every round, like I already mentioned. But use healing and have healing means available as a means of general defense. You have reactions. As I spoke about before in a previous video, there are fantastic reactions available in this game. Shield and absorb elements being the premier reactions, but there are other really good ones. For example, I love instinctive charm. Not only does it allow me to thwart a critical, which shield cannot do, I can also actually turn this defense into an offense by redirecting the attack to an enemy creature. Obviously, the conditions need to be right, but you can affect those conditions, and it always feels good to create both defense and offense in the same move. So as a power gamer, make sure you have a good reaction available. Then we have defensive spells. There are a whole bunch of good ones out there. I personally don't like to lean on that. There's an opportunity cost involved with defensive spells. They take actions to perform. A lot of times your concentration. They use up spell slots. So I prefer to use movement for defense. But, in a pinch, in a constrained environment, man, it's really nice to have a blink available, a mirror image, a blur, a stone skin. There are good defensive spells out there that you can use as a general defense. Then we have movement. Already covered that quite heavily, so won't go into it too much further here. But I do consider movement to be a general defense that you can leverage to your advantage. And then finally, we have obscurement. I talked about that a little bit before in the environment video, but I do consider that a general defense where you can throw it up and now you are protected against sight spells, and you can leverage it with feats like alert, or illusions and such to, really gain an advantage through obscurement on your general defense. Then finally, we have specific defenses. Now, this is a very broad category because essentially what is happening is that you are looking at specific tactics and combinations that can be used against you, and you are trying to thwart them. This includes the entire slate of conditions that you can be subjected to. You're going to want to have defenses against those. So, for example, some of the things that I think about in terms of specific defenses are surprise. I don't like being surprised. I don't like being assassinated. I like to have defenses against surprise, be it the alert feat, be it a weapon of warning, be it just having a high passive perception. You want to have protection against concentration checks. So that's why people love Warcaster and Resilient. You can also leverage Ultimate Defense to be protected against having to make concentration checks. Obstacles, there's going to be a range of deadly and difficult terrain thrown your way. You should be able to defend against those by having enhanced speed, flight, teleportation, etc. Energy damage. Going to be facing lots and lots of energy damage in this game. So, have things like absorb elements, resistances, use your hit points and healing. One of the best ways of dealing with energy damage. You need to have plans for obscurement. You are going to run into enemies that try to leverage it against you. So, have spells that don't require sight, have dispel magic, have the alert feat, be prepared. The restrained condition, this can be lethal for characters that don't have great strength or dexterity. So, have Misty Step available, maybe invest in athletics or acrobatics or some such. The paralyzed condition, that's a tough one. Freedom of movement is, really nice for that. Charm, another tough one that it requires greater restoration to get rid of. So try to have good wisdom saves. And get advantage on those saves. The frightened condition, try to, have ranged attack options that don't require attack rolls. Have, use saving throw spells. Again, charm, dispel magic is good for that. Silenced, it can be a killer to be grappled and silenced. That's going to be the death sentence for many spellcasters. As a power gamer, it shouldn't be you. Think ahead. Have a scroll of Misty Step or some options that you can do under conditions of silence. Have spells that don't have verbal components, catapult, hypnotic pattern, etc. Insta kill by magic. I've never faced a power word kill or a disintegrate, and I really don't want to. But if I do, I'm going to want to have like a death ward or something, maybe an item that's going to be able to deflect that sort of attack. The poison condition. Another one of those that you're going to want to have non-attack roll spells available that attack saving throws, have antitoxin available, lesser restoration. All of these can handle the poison condition. Disease doesn't come up too often in this game, but you can get a periaptive health, uncommon item, no attunement. It's on my list. Scrying. You don't want to be scryed in this game. I mean, big picture, it sucks for your opponents to know what you're up to. So non-detection, items that can thwart scrying, those are always good to have for burnishing specific defenses. Illusions, you're going to want to have a good investigation skill, and you're going to need to metagame this one a little bit. A couple of times I've just kicked myself for falling to an illusion when all I really needed to do as a player was be on top of things and just said, hey, I think this is an illusion. I'm going to make an investigation check. Simply uttering that phrase could have definitely changed the outcome of a few of my adventures in the past. So I try to remember that and be on top of the illusion thing as a power gamer. And then finally, creature types. There's undead, there's celestials. Sometimes there are things that you can do to defend against them, like protection from evil/good, magic circle, banish. Again, think ahead and try to have solutions for this sort of thing. So it's a long list, and this is not an exhaustive list. The point is that with specific defenses, you're going to want to have a few things in your back pocket because you've thought ahead and you are prepared for a number of negative conditions that can be inflicted upon you. So those are the 4 aspects. You're going to want to be good at all 4 layers. You're going to have great basic defenses like high AC, great saves, and great hit points. You're going to want to have or be able to leverage ultimate defenses. The hiding is fantastic. The speed for using cover and such are fantastic. You're going to want to have strong general defenses, and you're going to want to have strong specific defenses. At least if you are a power gamer like me who is defensive oriented and just really relishes the idea that there's just nothing anything that anybody can do to hurt you, and coupled with your elite offensive skills, you are going to win most battles. So that's it. That wraps up my 7-part series that covers the way that I think about defense. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate everybody's support thus far. I look forward to covering cantrips in my next video, so please come and take a look at that. This has been the Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition Power Gamers Tactics Room. I'm your host, Bill Braun Bafflestone. See you next time.